Welcome to the Telltales channel.
My 9-year-old got home to find her dog gone. My mom said to her, "We sold it, your cousins needed new iPads." My girl ran to her room crying and called me saying, "Mom, they sold my dog." Trembling, I quickly drove home and without thinking twice I did this. When I saw my daughter's name pop up on my phone that afternoon, I was just wrapping up a meeting at work. I let it ring twice thinking maybe she'd hang up. But then a second call came through immediately after and I knew something was wrong. I stepped into the hallway and answered. Her voice was quiet and broken. She said, "Mom, they sold my dog." I didn't even ask who. I just froze. My heart dropped right through the floor. I remember my hands shaking as I grabbed my keys. I didn't shut down my computer or tell anyone I was leaving. I just drove. 10 minutes into the drive, I finally called my mother. She picked up like nothing was wrong. I asked where the dog was. He said, "We sold it. Your cousins needed new iPads." Sold. Like she'd just given away some old piece of furniture. When I got home, my daughter was in her room crying into her pillow. She didn't even look up when I came in. I didn't ask questions. I knew exactly what happened. The dog Scout was a rare breed. A Lagotto Romagnolo. Trained. Worth more than $2,000, but he wasn't just expensive. He was family. We got him after my divorce when it was just me and Lily. She'd begged for a dog for 2 years. That dog had slept in her bed every night since we brought him home. And now he was gone. I marched into the living room where my mother, my sister Rachel, and her 2 kids were sitting like it was any other Monday. My niece was holding an unopened iPad box. I didn't yell. I just asked one thing. "Who did you sell the dog to?" They didn't even seem nervous. My mom actually said, "You can't expect us to live here for free and not make some decisions." I stood there and realized something terrifying. These people genuinely believed this was their house now. They've been living with me for nearly a year. After my mom cheated and got caught, her husband kicked her out. My sister came with her, dragging her 2 kids behind. I took them in. I fed them. Paid every bill. They never offered anything. I let it slide for the sake of family. But this was different. You don't sell a child's dog like it's a toaster oven. They had no idea I was about to lose it. I turned around, walked into the kitchen and pulled out the drawer with receipts and junk mail. I found the envelope with Scout's paperwork and the original listing from the breeder. Then I went straight to my daughter's iPad, opened the shared Apple ID and searched for recent messages and calls. I found it. A woman named Carrie. There was a full message thread. Turns out they'd sold him 2 hours ago for $2,200. Picked up from our house while Lily was at school. I messaged her from my account, told her who I was and asked to speak. I said I needed to come by. She replied instantly and said she was home. I didn't even change clothes. I got back in my car and drove across town. That house could have been in a Hallmark movie. Clean lawn, Christmas lights already up. A woman opened the door holding Scout on a leash. He looked up and wagged his tail when he saw me. I explained everything. Not in a dramatic way, just the truth. That he was my daughter's emotional support animal. That my family had sold him without my knowledge. He didn't hesitate. She handed me the leash and the cash and said she understood. I thanked her about 10 times before driving back. Scout sat in the passenger seat like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't been ripped away from the only family he knew. But I wasn't even done yet. Next part? That's where it really blew up. When I walked through the front door with Scout, the silence that hit me was unreal. My mom was on the couch with a mug of tea, Rachel had her phone out, and the kids were bickering over who'd get to open the second iPad. It took a second before anyone even looked up. Then Scout barked once and all their heads snapped toward the door. Rachel blinked. My mom's jaw tightened. My niece dropped her brand new iPad on the carpet and my nephew actually said, "Wait, you got him back?" I didn't answer. Scout took off down the hallway like he knew exactly where to go, and a second later, I heard Lily's bedroom door swing open. That sound, her gasping and calling out his name like she hadn't just spent the last hour crying into her blankets, was all I needed to remind myself why I had to do this. I walked back into the living room and stood there for a second while they tried to pretend nothing had happened. Then I said it. Plain. Told. "You owe me $2,200. Today." My mom tried to laugh it off like I was making a joke. Rachel got defensive immediately, saying the kids needed the iPads and how I was being extra about it. She even had the nerve to say I should be glad they got such a good price for him. That I should chill out because I got the dog back in the end. That's when I lost it. Not screaming. Not throwing things. I just stopped holding back. I told them both that I was done being the fallback plan. That they'd been living in my house for a year without paying for anything. No rent, no food, not even gas money when they borrowed my car. I listed every utility bill. Every grocery trip where I carried everything inside alone. Every time I came home from work and found a mess left behind for me to clean up. And then I said something I probably should have said months ago. You don't live here. You're staying here. There's a difference. Rachel scoffed and said it wasn't fair that I got to make all the rules just because I had money. My mom jumped in with the usual guilt trip about how I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for her raising me. I told her raising me didn't entitle her to sell my daughter's dog to buy electronics for her grandkids. They tried to backpedal. Said they'd make it up to me. Rachel swore she'd get me the money eventually. I said no. Not eventually. Not in payments. Not when things calm down. I said you've got two options. Get me the $2,200 today or return the iPads. And from now on if you want to keep staying here you pay rent. No more freeloading. No more playing house. It was the first time in months they actually looked scared. My niece started crying but I didn't comfort her. I went back to Lily's room. She was curled up with Scout on her bed, still holding his collar like if she let go he'd vanish again. I sat down next to her and stayed there until she fell asleep. And the whole time I kept thinking, how did I let it get this far? The next morning, before the sun was even fully up, I pulled out my phone and made a call I hadn't made in over a year. Their dad. The man who kicked them out the moment everything fell apart. The man who probably hadn't thought about them since. I didn't want to call him. But I needed to know if there was another option, because I couldn't keep carrying all of them on my back anymore. What happened next caught me completely off guard. I sat on the edge of my bed with my phone in my hand for a long time before I finally hit call. I stared at his name, Steve, Rachel's ex, like it was some kind of emergency contact from another life. He hadn't spoken to them since the day he kicked them out. Not a birthday card for the kids. Not a single check. Nothing. He answered right away. At first he sounded cautious, like he was expecting some kind of trap. When I told him it was me, Linda, he seemed surprised. Then I said it straight. I'm calling about Rachel. And the kids. And my mother. He sighed so hard I could almost picture him rubbing his temples. Guess what now? So I told him they sold my daughter's dog without asking. That they used the money to buy iPads. That I had to track down the buyer myself and pay the full amount just to get him back. I told him they've been living in my house for over a year without paying for anything. That I've been covering every single expense. Rent, food, bills, school supplies, everything. I told him Lily cried herself to sleep while they sat in the living room unbothered, arguing over who got to play Roblox first on their brand new tablets. He laughed. Not in a funny way. More like he couldn't believe how predictable it all was. Then he said, Linda, I walked away for a reason. Rachel lied about everything. About who she was seeing, about the drinking, about the money. And your mother? She defended her through every bit of it. I'm not touching any of that again. I asked, what about the kids? Another long pause. He said he felt bad for them, sure, but he wasn't about to bring that whole circus back into his life. He said he'd worked hard to clean up his own mess and he wasn't about to let them burn down what he built back up. They made their choices. You're not responsible for cleaning up after them, he said. And just like that he was done. That was his line. No discussion. No compromise. I sat there staring at the floor after we hung up, feeling like something had shifted. Not because of what he said, but because of what I realized in that moment. No one was coming. No one was going to rescue me from this situation. No one was going to swoop in and fix the fact that my sister, her two kids, and my own mother were acting like my home was some kind of extended stay hotel. That they had the nerve to sell something so personal, so precious to my daughter just because they saw an opportunity. I thought about how many times I'd bitten my tongue. How often I told myself to be patient, to be kind, to be family, and how little that patience had ever gotten me. That afternoon I came home and found them in the kitchen arguing over whether to DoorDash lunch or heat up frozen pizza. My mom was standing with a bottle of ginger ale and my sister was waving her phone around like it was a business meeting. They didn't even notice me walk in. I didn't sit down. I didn't wait until they were ready to listen. I just started speaking. I said, you're moving out. And I'll give you one shot to do it right. They all froze. Rachel asked, what are you talking about? I told them I was lending them $10,000. Enough to get their own place. First and last month's rent, security deposit, even some furniture if they budgeted right. But the money wasn't a gift. I wanted it back. And no, I wasn't going to be checking in every 5 minutes to see how it was going. I didn't care if they liked the place or if it didn't have a yard or if it wasn't what they were used to. This wasn't about comfort anymore. This was survival. Rachel started crying immediately. My mom tried to shame me. Said things like, after everything I did for you, after raising you. I asked her if she thought raising her daughter meant she was entitled to sell her granddaughter's dog for cash. She went quiet. Then Rachel said something that made me feel like I was talking to a stranger. I just don't get why you're turning your back on family now. I couldn't even process it. I told her I'd spent $5,000 a month feeding them, housing them, and keeping them afloat while they contributed nothing. Not one grocery run. Not one offer to cover a single utility. Nothing. And they still acted like I was the selfish one for finally reaching my limit. I told them the $10,000 would be transferred tomorrow. I even printed out a list of available rentals I'd found in their price range. They had 2 weeks to move out. No extensions. No more excuses. Rachel asked, and if we don't go? I said, then I'll change the locks. The next day I sent the money. They didn't say thank you. They didn't say anything. But I watched from the doorway as Rachel sat on the floor with a laptop, actually searching through listings. For the first time since they'd arrived, she looked like she understood the situation was real. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like I won anything. I just felt tired. But for the first time in a long time, I also felt like the end might finally be in sight. They didn't believe me at first. Even after the money hit Rachel's account, they dragged their feet like I was bluffing. My mom kept walking around the house like nothing had changed, watching her morning talk shows, microwaving coffee, leaving crumbs all over the counters like she didn't hear a word I said. But I didn't repeat myself. I kept the list of rentals taped to the fridge. By day 3 they started packing. It wasn't graceful. Rachel made a big show of sacrificing her plans for a nicer place and told the kids they wouldn't have a backyard anymore. My mom complained about her back every time she picked up a shoebox. I stayed out of it. I didn't ask where they were going or what they chose. I didn't even care. But then something happened I didn't expect. The night before their move, after the house went quiet, my niece came into my room. She stood in the doorway in her pajamas, clutching a stuffed animal, and said, "Aunt Linda, are you mad at me?" I didn't know what to say. This was the same little girl who had bragged about her new iPad while my daughter cried in the next room. But now she just looked small, confused, like she didn't understand any of it. I told her I wasn't mad. I just wanted things to be fair. She asked if she'd still see Lily. I said of course. That part wouldn't change. She gave me a quick hug and walked out. And I sat there for a long time after, trying to balance the anger I still felt with the weird, painful truth that none of this was really their fault. The next morning the moving truck showed up. They left behind more junk than they took. The guest room was a disaster. The kids' bathroom looked like it hadn't seen a cleaning spray in 6 months. But I didn't say anything. I let them leave without a scene. I stood on the porch with Lily as they drove off. She didn't wave. I asked her if she felt okay. She nodded and leaned down to pet Scout. That was enough for me. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I walked back into my own house. My house. Quiet. Clean. Ours again. But 2 days later Rachel texted me. She said they found a place. Small but decent. She said she was applying for jobs like she promised. And then she added something I didn't expect. Mom's working too. We're figuring it out. I know you think we're a lost cause, but thanks for not giving up on us completely. I didn't answer right away. I just stared at it, thinking how strange it was to hear her actually say thank you without saying the words. That week Lily started sleeping better. Scout was back in his normal routine. I didn't wake up to dishes piled in the sink or lights left on in every room. The house felt different. Peaceful. A week after they moved out, Rachel sent me a screenshot of her first paycheck. Not a brag. Just proof. She said she was working part-time at a dental office. Then my mom texted me too, saying she picked up a gig answering phones for a local vet. For the first time I actually started to believe they might figure it out. But just as things started settling, the phone rang. I saw the name on the screen and had to read it twice. It was Steve. He hadn't called since I reached out weeks ago. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. I answered. He said, "So, Rachel told me what you did. About the loan. The move. The jobs. I just want to say, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's time I talked to them again." I didn't say anything. He continued, "I was thinking of inviting the kids to come stay for a while. See if we can make it work again. Maybe even your mom." I blinked. I asked him if he was serious. He said yeah. He'd been thinking a lot. Maybe he'd given up too soon. That maybe now with some space and structure they could rebuild. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything. Now he wanted to bring them back? I didn't tell Rachel right away. I wasn't even sure if I should. But when I finally did, her reaction surprised me. She said, "Tell him thanks, but no thanks. We're good now." I didn't expect that either. But something about it actually made me smile. It's strange how quickly peace can feel unfamiliar. The first few nights after they moved out, I kept expecting someone to yell from the kitchen that we were out of milk, or hear my mom's TV blasting through the walls at 11 p.m. I still found myself automatically checking if the front door was locked twice, not because I was worried about intruders, but because I was used to Rachel forgetting. I would reach for the thermostat, then stop myself. No one was leaving it at 74 degrees all day anymore. It was quiet, so almost unsettling at first. But then something shifted. That next Saturday morning I woke up to sunlight, not arguing. No cartoons echoing down the hall, No iPads blaring, no stomping from room to room. Just Scout curled up at my feet and Lily reading a book beside me, the house perfectly still. I made coffee. I actually sat down and drank it. Hot. It hit me then. Not the absence of chaos but the presence of peace. For the first time in over a year, I wasn't a full-time provider, unpaid therapist, emergency fund, and walking guilt sponge. I was just me. And that was enough. Rachel hadn't said much since they left, but when she did, it wasn't the usual passive-aggressive nonsense. It was short texts. Updates. Straightforward. First, she sent a photo of their new apartment. Small 2-bedroom, carpeted. Beige walls and second-hand furniture. But clean. Organized. Hers. Then came the job updates. She landed a part-time front desk position at a dental office. Not glamorous but real. Then over a week later she added a second gig walking dogs on weekends. That one almost made me laugh out loud. The irony of her getting paid to walk dogs after what they'd done to Scout was so on the nose it felt like a sitcom script. Mom apparently was answering phones at a woman's home-run pet grooming business a few blocks from their place. She told Rachel it gave her something to do and made her feel useful again. I didn't respond to most of the messages. Not because I was angry but because I didn't know what I'd say. I was tired of being the feedback loop. The safety net. I just wanted space. So I watched. Quietly. And honestly, I didn't hate what I saw. Then something completely unexpected happened. Rachel messaged me one Thursday evening. Hey, the kids want to come see Lily. Just for a little. Can we? Just the kids. No drama. Took me a minute to decide. But I said yes. Saturday morning a knock came on the door. It was just the kids like she said. No mom. No Rachel. Just two small humans holding apology cards made from printer paper, each with crooked hearts and the words "Sorry Scout" and "Lily" in markers. Lily stood there staring at them for a moment, then opened the door wider and said, "You guys want to play?" They spent 3 hours in the backyard. Scout chased them like he'd never left. They built a fort under the trees and picked up right where they'd left off, like nothing had happened. Like forgiveness in their world came easier. Watching them from the kitchen window I realized something. None of this had to be permanent. Pain doesn't have to stain everything forever. Sometimes it just passes, if you let it. Later that week something even more unexpected happened. A Venmo notification popped up on my phone. Rachel paid you $200. In the notes she'd written, "First payment. For Scout and all the crap before. More coming." Grinning faces wet. I stared at it for a long time. It wasn't about the money. Not anymore. It was about what that tiny gesture represented. Accountability. Effort. Growth. Something I hadn't seen from her in a long time. Over the next few days little things kept changing. I stopped obsessing over bills. I canceled some of the subscriptions I only had because the kids used them. I cooked smaller meals. I sat down with Lily more. Scout started sleeping closer to the front door again, like he finally felt safe guarding the house he belonged in. I even started thinking about myself again. For the first time in what felt like forever I considered taking a weekend trip. Just me and Lily. Something simple. A cabin. The beach. Nothing extravagant. Just something that wasn't about anyone else. And then came the final twist. Steve, Rachel's ex, called again. I let it go to voicemail the first time. Then again the next day. Finally I picked up. He told me he'd been talking to Rachel. That he'd heard about how things were turning around. He said he was thinking about letting the kids visit him over the summer. Maybe more than that. He even asked if there was a chance their mom could come back too. Try again. Start over. I was stunned. After all that time of blaming them, abandoning them, ignoring his responsibilities, now he wanted back in? His things were better? I told Rachel about the call, not knowing how she'd react. She didn't even hesitate. He said, "I told him no. I told him I don't need fixing anymore. I've got this. And I'm not walking into the same mess twice." That was the first time I actually believed her. 3 months after they moved out, the house didn't just feel different. It felt healed. The routines had changed. Lily was sleeping through the night again, her energy was back, and I caught her once whispering to Scout like he was a little brother who understood her better than people did. The kitchen stayed clean. My Sundays weren't spent doing damage control. My paycheck went where I wanted it to go. I had my rhythm back. Rachel kept paying. Not every week but regularly. Sometimes $200, sometimes less, but always with a note. For Lily's Doggy Justice Fund, or back taxes, Aunt Linda edition. I didn't even care about the total. The point was she was doing it without me having to chase her. Mom stayed mostly quiet. She texted now and then. Always brief. But one afternoon she messaged. Started baking again. Gonna sell them at a little market nearby. Just wanted to let you know I'm trying. That one hit differently. We weren't close again but we weren't broken either. We were just older. wiser maybe, a little more tired. Then one day while Lily was in school and I was home early from work, someone knocked on the door. It was Rachel. Alone. She looked different. Less rushed. No chaos behind her eyes. She held a small box with Scout's old tag in it, the one he'd outgrown. She said she found it while unpacking and figured Lily might want to keep it. I invited her in. We didn't talk long. But before she left, she said something I never expected to hear. You know, when you kicked us out, I hated you. I told the kids you didn't care about us, that you thought you were better. But now, I tell them you saved us. Because you did. Then she hugged me. That night I told Lily what her aunt said. She asked if they'd ever live with us again. I said no. And she nodded. Like she knew that wasn't a sad answer. It was just the right one. Weeks passed. Life kept moving. Then the final twist. My mom called. Not texted. Told. He sounded strange, soft, kind of hesitant. She told me she got a call from Steve. Apparently he wasn't just interested in a reunion anymore. He'd started showing up, dropping off gifts, offering to talk things out. Said he was proud of how they turned things around. Wanted to rebuild the family. I braced for the next line. For my mom to say she was thinking about going back. But she didn't. He said I told him no. I said I've made enough mistakes for one lifetime. And I'm not making another. I didn't say much. I just sat with it. Because for once they were learning the one lesson I'd clung to this whole time. You don't get to burn bridges and then expect someone to build you a new one. A month later, Lily got invited to her cousin's place for a sleepover. She packed her bag, fed Scout one extra treat and asked if it was okay. I told her yes. She stopped at the door and said, "You're not mad at them anymore, are you?" Said no. I just finally know where the line is. So, she nodded again. And when that door closed behind her, I looked around my house. My quiet, peaceful, still house and felt it wash over me. Relief. Not because everything was perfect, but because I'd finally made the one decision I was too scared to make for far too long. I chose myself. And this time, I didn't apologize for it.